It's time for a brand new episode of the Bakery Bears video show.
This is our lifestyle show featuring craft, baking, and a little bit of history.
We've got lots of projects to show and one of our special series to share.
What will we feature this time, and which of our projects will be our favourite?
Let's get on with the show and find out.
Welcome everybody to the Bakery Bears video show. Summer is at its height, the flowers are blooming, even Kay has dressed inspired by England's rose.
Have I?
Look,
it's
look
not
at the
really
pinkness.
Rose pink, it's more of a neon pink. I'm just reflecting the hotness of today.
Look, this is our England's rose. Doesn't it look spectacular? Am I getting the name right?
Yes.
Yes! Oh, yes.
That's one of the pink ones, yeah.
Yes, summer is most definitely at its height, and we're in the midst of one of my favourite moments in life. We've spoken about this once or twice before on the show, but yes, Kay is completely obsessed with her crochet jelly roll.
Oh, yes.
Obsessed to the point that she's waking up in the middle of the night. She's also getting up like before even the birds start to sing to go and work on it and to tweak things.
I did one day, yeah.
It is, I mean, it's such a...
I've been tweaking and slightly modifying and then overthinking and then tweaking again and yeah.
It's such a funny experience because in one sense it's like quite... Stressful's the wrong word. It's not stressful. Extremely engaged.
It's not stressful, no.
What it is... Oh, I hate that. I'm really sorry. I'm so sorry. All you linguists out there, if you could show me a better way of saying what it is, then yeah. I will make a note of it in a little book and I will refer to it daily so that I always say it. What it is the house is literally brimming with creativity. That's the thing. And the reason why it's my favourite moment in life is Kay's one of those brains that's always on the go. So if she's obsessed with something like that, something really positive, it's just wonderful. I know how much you love it.
Yeah, I do love it because it sort of takes over anything else that's going on in my brain, which is always a nice thing, isn't it? To have something positive in your brain, you know, it's filling your brain, but it's a positive thing. So yeah, it's been an interesting couple of weeks with the crochet jelly roll, and yeah, I'll be giving a full update on it. Yes,
that means, all of that means that we're going to have a ginormous crochet jelly roll update coming later on in the show. Yes. And we are so thrilled about how excited you guys are about this.
Yeah, thank you for your excitement. I am going as fast as I can on it, and if it was the only thing I got to do, you know, I probably would have done it by now, but there are loads of other things, and we've also started something exciting this week.
Many wheels turn in the world of the Bakery Bears.
Yeah, we're always
to keep the ship moving forward.
We're always like looking at the next thing. You know, lots of forward planning goes on. Yeah.
The show today, though, oh my goodness, we've got two spectacular What's Off Your Needles coming later in the show. Both upcoming designs.
Yes.
That is going
so I'll give an update on those as well.
My Perfect Socks is back.
It is indeed.
With a colourway that has me completely smitten. Of course, pick of the projects coming up later on in the show as well. Which of our projects is our favourite? But last time we spoke about bugs. And lots of you commented, and there was all sorts of different... Some people said peppermint oil is really good.
Oh, I've read that as well.
Yeah, peppermint oil keeps bugs away. Other people were saying that they too suffer in the same way. Lots of redheads commenting, saying, like me. A good friend of ours also said, who's a doctor, said, yeah, it's redheads. Someone else said it's got something to do with the carbon in your breath or something.
Goodness, right.
I mean, there was all sorts of really fascinating things. Yeah. And what happened since we last saw you was, of course, I was suffering with the two on my hand at the time. Yeah. So they start to dissipate. And, you know, you're sallying forth into the world. Everything feels lovely. You don't feel stressed at all. It's going to be fine. You've maybe sprayed a little bit of the Skin So Soft on your legs. And then you go for a walk in Fountains Abbey. You stop for a moment at the bottom of the lake area. You have a little drink. And in that moment, you feel something on your leg. I had a picnic blanket in my hand. Sure, I took a couple of swipes at my leg, eventually got rid of it. Thought nothing more of it. Carried on with our walk. We sat down for a lovely picnic. As we're doing so, Kay said...
No, it was when you were walking away and you were in front of me.
Right, so
and I said,
finished our picnic.
Gosh, Dan.
We finished our picnic. We're walking away and Kay says, have you been bitten? Had I been bitten?
Gosh, it was amazing, actually. I mean, he's all right now, everyone. It's okay now. But I looked down at his legs. He got shorts on, and it was on his calf, on the left leg. And there was like a red round mark, but then it tracked downwards in his leg like this red down his leg. And at first I thought he'd scratched it was bleeding and the blood had kind of been smeared down, but it wasn't. It was this bite. I mean, who knows what it was.
I think in the last 2 weeks...
We had medications with us, luckily,
we did,
didn't we?
But
we're always prepared.
We've got to the bottom of where this is happening to me most regularly.
Yeah.
It's the garden. What we're going to do is we're going to get a long sleeve version of this.
Yeah.
These shirts were purchased specifically for the story of Holy Island. And thank you all for your lovely comments about the last episode. But they're super thin, they're really comfortable, and if I had a long sleeve version, I'd be away. So what I did when I went in the garden to cut the lawn on a really warm day, about 2 days ago, was I put one of these on, and then I put like a little sort of jackety thing on over the top.
And you had long trousers on.
I did. Went out, did it, everything was fine. I was a bit warm, but at least I didn't get bitten.
I said to him, we need to get him one of those sort of beekeeper outfit things to put on when he goes into garden, when he's taking the bins down.
It's getting to the point where I'd wear it, because I went for a run this morning. I went into the woods. I thought, be brave, be brave, go in the woods, run through, everything will be fine. Ran into the woods, saw a few flies, panicked and left.
Yeah.
Got back out on the road.
It's horrible. I don't know if any of you out there suffer with...
Oh, they do. They commented last time.
Oh, right,
yeah.
Okay.
So we're in the club.
It's really bad.
Seems to be the redhead club.
But the peppermint oil thing is interesting because I think you can get rollerball peppermint oils.
Let's give it a try.
So that might be worth a try, rollering it on your sort of wrists and your ankles and your neck maybe before you go out.
Yes.
Plus you smell minty and nice.
Feels like summer watch, doesn't it? I think we should get back to what we're here for, because we have some wonderful projects to show you.
Yes, we do.
So without further ado, I shall say, Kay Jones, what's on your needles?
Oh my goodness, I've got something really exciting to show you.
Oh, it is. And it'll make you feel cool.
Yes.
Yes, always good.
It's a pair of socks. And this pair of socks will look familiar to you, but then also a little bit different. This pair of socks is the design that I've created for this year's Sockaween. So Sockaween, of course, is our month-long patron knit-along where basically we all just knit socks that have a Halloween theme. It can be any socks you like, anything at all. They can be from baby socks up to huge man-sized socks. They can be any weight of yarn, any pattern, self-striping, anything you want that you can interpret as Halloween themed. But historically, I think
the last 3 years, Kate.
Yeah, I've either created a design for everyone. They don't have to use it. It's there for you if you want to. I've either created a design or I've refreshed one of my old patterns and then given that pattern to all of our patrons and we've kind of knitted along. So
the first year, you did the magic loop. You did the absolute beginner magic loop.
Right, okay.
And you did it like a basic pattern, for your first sort of pair of socks. Yeah. Second year, you did the DPN, a basic pattern, so it's absolute beginner, DPN, And then last year was, of course, which was it? Oh, you refreshed the pattern.
I refreshed a pattern. Which one was it?
Can't remember.
I can't remember.
But that was super exciting.
Yeah, but this year I thought I would design a pattern. And this is actually something you've seen before because I've made Dan 2 pairs of these socks now.
Oh, and they're good.
I think you'll know what it is.
They're really good.
And what I wanted to do this year was to do a DK weight pair of socks because I get asked all the time actually if I've got a DK pattern. There is a DK pattern, it's called Choose Your House Socks and it was part of the Harry Potter collection that I did some years ago. But I wanted to create another one that was, I mean, there's 3 sizes and the other one is 3 sizes, but the sizes are, I can't remember I think I've adjusted the stitch count slightly with this one. I've put in a different heel on this one. It's a different stitch pattern, obviously. And this one is being knitted on double points. So the pattern is written in a way that makes it, if you were using double points, you know, it would flow through for you. You can use whatever method you want. And I wanted to choose some yarns that are Halloween themed, but also autumnal as well. And I've come up with what I think is just brilliant. This is an Eldenwood craft bag that I bought, gosh, quite some years ago, and I absolutely love it. And I thought it had that autumnal vibe to it. So in this lovely bag, here is the yarn. So I'm using 3 colours of Eden Cottage Yarns Milburn DK. Now, if you remember, I've used Milburn 4-ply a couple of times for socks and really loved it. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to give the DK a go. And I can report it's brilliant so far. But these are the 3 colours that I'm using. So we've got this gorgeous burnt orange, this lovely kind of slightly limey green, and then this deep autumnal purple colour, like an aubergine. And I thought, although these, I suppose, are typical orange, green, purple, are sort of typical Halloween colours, I thought with these tones, it was very autumnal. So the Milburn DK it's an 85-15. So the blend is the same in the DK as in the 4-ply. So it's 85% Blueface Leicester, 15% silk. So silk, as I think we all know, is an incredibly strong fibre. So I just thought it would work really well for socks. And the pair that I knitted last year using this, which was a pink pair, if you remember, with sort of leftover bit of self-striping on the foot, I've been wearing those and they're lovely, and they've been in the washer at 30 degrees and they're absolutely fine. And I knit another pair, which actually is going to be the September Platinum pattern, the Island socks. I showed you those recently. Haven't worn those yet, but I'm sure they will wear the same. I thought, well, why not give this a go for DK socks? What I will say though, first of all, this orange, if you really like this orange, it's unfortunately been discontinued. It's called Crocosmia, is the colourway. I think I got 4 skeins of this. It might be all gone now because it was coming up as a discontinued colour. And I thought, what a shame, actually. I think this is a fabulous colour. But maybe she's going to be bringing in a different orange, I'm not sure. So we've got Crocosmia. The green is called Fern. And then the purple is called Black Tulip. So that's my yarns. Let me show you the sock. I'm not far off finished my first sock. Ooh, look. Isn't it lovely? Ooh, does it make you think of cosy autumn days and popping these socks on with like your walking shoes and going off walking through the leaves? Oh,
it really does.
Yeah.
But also, I've been wearing these all the way through the summer.
You have.
They're just perfect.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the pattern giving it a bit of airflow.
Maybe.
Or what it is, but they've been just perfect.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's because they're both natural fibres, aren't they? BFL
Maybe.
and silk are both natural fibres as opposed to nylon, which isn't. So
by far the most comfortable pair of socks
maybe it's that.
I've ever worn.
But yeah, here's my first sock. So what I did was I did just a tiny little bit of the green here at the top of the cuff, the rest in purple, body in the orange, heel in the green, and the toe is going to be in the purple. Isn't that fun? But yeah, I put in a different heel turn. In the Choose Your House socks pattern, it's a square heel turn. I decided to put in a French heel turn just because that gives a bit more room across the gusset, and you know, I'm very conscious of fit and making sure that I do everything I can to accommodate different shapes of feet and hats and whatever. So I know that this heel just give a bit more room across the instep, so I thought I'd use that. And I just love it. I think I've got a few more rounds of the foot, and then I'll be doing the toe in the purple. Also, what I've done actually different from the Choose Your House socks is I've modified the toe a little bit to make it a bit longer. I did think, looking back on that pattern, that the umbrella toe that's in that pattern is a bit short. So I've modified it and lengthened it by about 4 rows for each size, but that just, I think, makes it more comparable to my umbrella toe on a fingering weight pair. So I have made a few modifications from that original pattern. Not that that original pattern is problematic. I've got a pair of those and I wear them in the winter, no problem. But it's like anything over time, you know, your methods change and, you know, it's just those fine details, I guess. I'm using the same double points I was using for Dan's socks. These are Chow-goo Bamboo. Let me just push those down. And they are 3.25mm. And when I knit on double points, I hold the stitches over 4 needles and then knit with the 5th. I know a lot of people hold stitches over 3 needles and knit with the 4th. So, I mean, whatever suits you is absolutely fine. But I've always found that using 4 needles for me makes more mathematical sense because your stitches, generally speaking, are evenly split. Sometimes your instep stitches might be split slightly differently depending what the pattern is on the front, but generally speaking, and depending on the stitch count as well, but yeah, you know what I mean. Usually you can split them over 4 like this, and I just think this looks more like a circle than a triangle does, and I think for me anyway, there's less pressure points. I feel like when I'm knitting from one needle to the other, I feel like it's more straight across than it would be with 3 needles. But, you know, we all find our own favourite techniques, don't we? And I don't get any laddering problems at all. You can see on the foot there, it's lovely and neat. So what I will be doing during Sockoween is I'll be knitting the second sock. So there'll be a series of videos go out through that month of October and it'll show me knitting the second sock. But everyone will get the pattern, the full pattern. It's the very, very beginning, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just thrilled with how these have turned out. You know, this stitch pattern is lovely. It's just a knit purl texture. You know, works perfectly for anyone you wanted to knit your socks for. And this yarn is really lovely. I mean, admittedly, I've not worn it yet. My instinct is telling me that I think it would be lovely. Look at that, isn't it nice? And it's just cosy, isn't it? It's just a cosy stitch pattern. And I spent ages actually with 3 coloured felt tips, drawing little socks and working out how I was going to place the colours. And I really love this sort of teeny pop at the top, and then because I wanted the purple and the green to look evenly distributed through the sock, so I thought putting them both in the cuff, one for the heel, one for the toe, would work really nicely. So that pattern, like I say, will be the Sockoween pattern. I need to tell you the name, don't I? This is so fun. These socks are called the Spookykooky Socks.
Woohoo!
How cute is that? So it's got a spooky cuff and the stitch pattern is kooky. So these are Spookykooky Socks, and I just thought that was really cute and fit with the theme, and I think we'll just make the whole thing fun. Like I say, you know, you don't have to knit this through Sockoween. There's absolutely no obligation to do that. You can knit whatever you want, whatever spooky Halloweeny themed socks you want to, but the pattern is there for you should you want to. So Dan Jones, what's on your needles?
Just what you want to knit when it's boiling.
Oh gosh.
We've got the window wide open, which we never do, because if we didn't, I would expire. I'm knitting a jumper. Now, I normally knit this jumper on an evening, but it was so hot last night, I couldn't.
No.
I had to go get my socks and continue knitting on my socks. So the weather is, I think it's the first time I ever recall the weather actually affecting my knitting projects.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah.
I do remember one really hot summer where I was sat in front of the air conditioner. We've got a mobile air conditioner because there's no houses in this country, not many anyway. in this country that have air conditioning.
No.
And so we've got a mobile air conditioner, which we're very lucky to have had it a long time. I remember being sat in front of that, doing a 3-needle bind off on the top of the Samantha.
Oh, really?
I mean, I think that might have been around about the 40-degree time.
Oh, that was crazy. That was a couple of years ago, wasn't it? That was bonkers, absolutely bonkers.
And again, it was super still, wasn't it?
But I think it is that in like Europe at the moment, in France and Spain. I think it is like 40.
But it's the Albion, and I'm using Cascade 220. And when we were filming it yesterday, just look at this. It's got a real sort of purpley hue.
Yeah, I said that as well, didn't I?
It's really interesting.
When you actually look at the yarn close up, I can definitely see that sort of purplish hue, can't you?
Oh, yeah, you really can.
Yeah.
I mean, it does make it
It's a really lovely colourway. I mean, it's Midnight Heather is this colour, so...
Yeah, I mean, I would say that it's a good representation of, like, a summer night, because you do get bits of sort of colour, don't you, and texture in a summer night. Not in one of those winter dark nights where it's just black. I have no problem with that, by the way.
I didn't like it last year very much, and I normally do, so we'll see how I feel this year.
Well, I've got a feeling this year, when you hit it, for a little while, you're going to be just dandy, because you're going to be bathing yourself in the coolness and the glory.
I know. I mean, having 32 degrees when you, like, hot flushing it all the time is not ideal.
Combine that with the humidity, and it's a bit of a pain. But still, though, the Albion definitely sort of hit a more...
I love this.
I understand the projects a lot more now. I sort of approached jumpers all in the same way, I sort of think, it's going to be as engaging as, a colourwork yoked jumper, or, any of the other more complex jumpers that I've knitted, maybe the Irish Coffee, the Samantha. A lot of engagement, a lot of sort of challenging... knit or the Cascades. This is not like that. This is extremely, I don't want to say repetitive, because it's not repetitive, because I'm not getting bored, but it's not difficult, and that's good. But I think if you in your head are thinking of it in the same way as your other garment projects, and you're expecting to get that sort of enjoyment of the engagement, you're going to be disappointed. So what I've done with this is I've sort of slotted it into a more relaxed knitting time, and it's great. I'm really looking forward to finishing the body, and I'm very much looking forward to knitting the sleeves.
That's a beautiful rib, I've got to say. I need to show everyone this rib. Let me fold it out.
I do enjoy knitting sleeves. It's fun, that.
I need to show you this rib because it's just so beautiful. Can you see how...
Which is funny, because the rib wasn't beautiful when I used the yarn that we originally bought for...
I know.
Happy Days.
It's a beautifully neat rib. Well done with that.
That is my lovely Albion.
It's gorgeous.
Looking forward to getting onto the sleeves.
Oh, I do like neatness.
And I shall keep you updated.
Oh, I'm a fan.
What else is on your needles in that lovely autumnal bag?
Right,
There's
so...
pumpkins and this.
This is just a bit of frivolity.
We can't beat a bit of frivolity.
Sometimes you just need a bit of...
You sound like Scrooge.
Oh, yeah, I do.
Spending all their money on frivolities.
I know.
Harvest time for the moneylenders. That was good.
Yeah, so this is a bit of frivolity, and I chose an autumnal bag. There's a theme going on here, isn't there?
Yeah, we want autumn now.
This bag I've had for ages, and it was from Bertie and Poppet. And it's just this gorgeous pumpkins and mushrooms and leaves and,
completely beautiful bag.
Marvellous. So we went away recently. We had a little family holiday, and I thought to myself, what do I want to take away with me knitting-wise? And I kept it simple. I like to keep everything simple these days when we go away. Pack light, keep simple, works for me. But I just fancied something fun. I'll have to go back in time a little bit to a year ago. And a year ago, when we were preparing for Bryony to go off to uni, at that same time, I'd been working on my 100-acre blanket that was the pattern for Summer of Stitching this year. And when I was sort of creating that pattern and coming up with the technique of how I do the squares, I did some swatches. And one of the swatches that I did turned into this little thing that I gave Bryony, and I called it a phone blanket, just jokingly. I said, I've made this thing. And I said, you can put your phone on it at night time and your phone can sleep on it. It's a little phone blanket. So she did. She took it off and she had it by her bed the whole time, and her foam slept on it every night, and it was really sweet. So I said to her before we went away, I could make you another one, but do one all in autumnal colours, because she wants her new room, all of the furnishings and the duvet cover and all of that and everything to be autumnal themed. So we thought, it's a great idea. So we went into my stash. She chose all of these yarns. There's 3, 6, 9, 12, there's 18 yarns. And I've made her one of these and I've nearly finished it. I'm on the border and I just love it. So this is what I have deemed to be a foam blanket. Isn't it sweet? So it's basically teeny tiny mitered squares, and I'm on the border. If you look here, this top edge here has been bordered, and I'm just on this side edge here, and then I've got 2 more to do. So she chose all these colours. What she wanted, you might notice these 3 here are really bright. She wanted 3 bright Halloween colours at the end, and then the rest to be these sort of subdued autumny colours. So I've used the exact same technique that's in my 100 acre blanket to make this. The only difference is the squares are teeny. I've used 23 stitches for these. And I use a 2.75mm needle, which is what these are. These little needles, let me tell you, there's been such a lot of work done with these tiny needles. This is a pair of 8-inch double points. They're Knit Pro Symphonies. And years ago, Dan cut me the ends off here, and then I made these little Fimo stoppers and I glued them on. No, it wasn't Fimo. It's that stuff you bake in the oven. Is that Fimo? Whatever it is. I made these little end things, stuck them on with glue, and I've used these little needles to make the jelly roll blanket, the knitted one. Every mitered square blanket, I think the Stitching Time blanket, I used these, and then every mitered square since, I've used these needles. So they're really special to me because they've created such a lot of designs, if you like, and just projects that have meant such a lot to me. So I love these little needles, and it's such a humble little thing, isn't it? A little homemade pair of short needles, because you can't really get needles this short, can you? So I guess they must be about 7 inches in length, because, like I said, they were 8 inches. Dan sawed me off probably about 1 inch and then put these stoppers on. And they're just perfect. I love them. So yeah, this is my little foam blanket. And isn't it fun? And I showed this to our doctor friend. We saw her while we were on holiday, actually, which was just wonderful. She came round and we had lunch and a big catch-up. It was so nice. And I showed her this. And she loves mitre squares as well. And we both said, can you imagine a whole blanket in these tiny squares? I'm sort of tempted. I know that it would take me 10 years to make it, but it would just be something I could put down, pick up, leave for 6 months, pick up again. I'm sort of tempted. Am I crazy to think that I want to do a whole blanket with these tiny squares? Because I can knit a square in like 10 minutes, not even probably. You know, it's so quick. And okay, yeah, there's a lot of ends. I don't care about that. I don't care about ends. I've actually woven in all of them apart from the ones that are on the outside. So this is the back. So they're woven in apart from the outside, because I do those after I've attached the border. It's such a lovely little project for holiday. I loved it, you know, going into my bag and choosing the next little yarn and adding a square. And it might be that I only got 10 minutes knitting that day because we were really busy doing lots of things on holiday, which was great, but I actually didn't get that much knitting time at all. But this was perfect. So yeah, a foam blanket, everyone. If you can imagine, you sit it on your bedside, pop your little phone down, face down, the blanket will protect it, you know, and there you go. I actually don't neither of us keep phones in the bedroom.
No.
Teenagers do, don't they? So
Bryony doesn't.
She does at uni.
But not when she's here.
No, she doesn't when she's here, no.
Yeah. When she's at uni, she hasn't got another room to put it in.
She hasn't got another room to put it in. Just the one room. But it's a nice room this time, let me tell you. We've got a moving in date. Ooh, yes, we're on countdown. So yeah, a foam blanket. So I'll show you this finished next time. Oh, and I love it. And I'm really tempted to start a big blanket. Oh, I might have to do it. Watch this space. Make yourself a phone blanket, everybody. It'll give you so much joy. Doesn't have to be for your phone. You know, it could just be a big coaster, couldn't it, to put a cup of tea and a biscuit.
Folks, can you believe it? But the end of My Perfect Socks is in sight. This is, of course, Kay's epic series that's been running all the way through 2025, where she's dyeing up yarn inspired by the movie You Got Mail, and then showing you how to knit a perfect pair of socks.
Yes.
So with 3 episodes to go, what will the colourway be this time? Let's find out in the latest episode of My Perfect Socks.
It's a brand new year, so it's time for a new challenge. I want to knit myself the perfect pair of socks. To do that, I'm going to need yarn and lots of it. The inspiration will be one of my favourite films. So together, let's create My Perfect Socks. Welcome back, everybody, to My Perfect Socks. If you can quite believe it, we have reached number 10 out of 12 colourways for My Perfect Socks. And today is a very exciting one. I always say that, don't I? Because they're always exciting to me. But today is exciting because the colours that we're going to be using we haven't used before. And I decided just to throw this one in. It doesn't necessarily follow on naturally from the last colour that we did, but I just felt it was time to throw in this particular colour. Today's colourway is called Just Call Me Joe. It appears twice in the film. First time is when he's in the bookshop and he's got the children with him. He's got his brother and his aunt with him, who are very young children, and he meets Kathleen for the first time. And he doesn't want to tell her his surname because she will know that he is one of the people who owns and runs Fox Books. So hence the Just Call Me Joe. And then it crops up again later on when I say randomly meet, it's not a random meet, is it, in the cafe? But Kathleen thinks it's a random meet-up and Joe doesn't, but they have a bit of a disagreement in the cafe, don't they? And it's spoken about then. If you think about when that happened in the film the first time, then that might lead you to the colours that I'm going to use, but maybe not actually, because I've used a bit of artistic license, let's say, but it just is beautiful, this colourway, and yeah, I'm really, really excited about it. So the first thing, I've waffled on, haven't I? But what's most important is the inspiration. So should we go and have a little sit down and I will tell you about the specific inspiration for Just Call Me Joe. So here I am, cozied up in my comfy corner, ready to tell you about the inspiration for Just Call Me Joe. Now, in the film, this one actually was quite a tricky one to come up with in terms of what colours I was going to use, because the first time this line comes up is when they meet in the shop and there's, the children are book shopping and they've just listened to Kathleen read a story from a book. And there's a lot going on in this scene. The shop is full, it's full of books, there's people all around. And I thought, gosh, you know, which direction shall I go in for this? What I decided to do is I took my inspiration from the time of year that it looks like it is. Because in the lead up to them going into the shop, Joe is out in the kind of streets with the kids, and there's kind of like some sort of street festival type thing going on. And it looks to me like it's definitely autumn, and it could even be pushing towards Halloween, because it's just got that kind of vibe, hasn't it? If you've seen, I'm sure loads of you have seen the film, but it feels very autumny and very Halloweeny for me. So I thought, right, that's the sort of theme I'm going to go for. But I decided not to go the typical oranges and blacks, you know, that sort of typical Halloween type colour. I really wanted to use purples, and I thought, well, purple is a really good colour, isn't it, for autumn, for Halloween. But also I wanted, because they're in the bookshop and it's, you know, there's lots of bright colours in there, the books are all really colourful, and it's a children's bookshop, so inevitably, you know, there's lots of colours and there's fairy lights all around. So I thought I will do purples, but I'm going to throw in a bit of a brighter colour as well. I guess I've used a bit of artistic license, but you know, we're allowed to do that, aren't we? So that's where the purples came from. And then the pink that we're going to use, although it's pink, is a very purple leaning pink. So I allowed that. You know, if it was up to me, I'd have pink in every colourway, you know what I'm like. And then I thought, right, we can't just have this all pink and purple. It won't really, you know, there's a chance it won't look very autumnal, slightly Halloweenish. So I'll put in some brown as well, and that will kind of lower the tone a little bit. And it came out beautiful. I was really, really thrilled when I first dyed it. And so although there isn't like a direct inspiration, you wouldn't automatically think, oh yeah, this colour is that scene in the film. I very much took inspiration from the time of year that was going on around them. And then the second time this line comes up and there's a bit of an argument, a bit of an argy-bargy, is when they're in the cafe. I thought, well, they meet at night time. It looks like it's cold outside, so I'm thinking it's still that time of year. So it's very dark outside. Again, there's sort of fairy lights. The cafe has got a very subdued lighting. So it kind of all it's still toned in well, I thought, the colour, with also that scene that was going on. So that's a little bit about the inspiration for the colourway today. So now we need to have a look at the actual dye colours that we're going to be using. So I've got 4 dyes. I've got 3 landscape dyes and 1 jacquard. So as always, I'll tell you the colour and then I'll tell you the type of colour if you want to substitute other dyes in for that one. So my first colour, this one's a landscape dyes, and it's dusk. If you are a yarn dyer, if you've dyed yarn before, you might be aware of this colour. It's an absolutely beautiful dusky purple. It's just gorgeous. It's like a kind of autumnal purple, you know, very dusky, very moody sort of purple. It's beautiful. And if you use this delicately, it's the most gorgeous colour. But today we're going to use it in quite an intense way. So we get darker tones from it, but we also get lighter tones. Another landscape is sorbet. It's a purple again, but this one is much more intense. It's like a sort of violet-y purple, quite bright, quite a summery purple really, but works beautifully well with the dusk, because I think this is like a brighter, more intense version of the dusk. It's not got that sort of dullness to it which the dusk has. Then our final landscape dye is wild raspberry. As this one is described, it's that very ripe raspberry colour. It's incredibly intense, this colour. You don't need a lot of it. It's a pink, but it leans purple. It works again really well with the purples that we'll have going on. So wild raspberry is the next one. And then the final one is jacquard, and it's brown. It's number 635 brown. And I've thrown this one in at the end because the overall feel of this yarn, I didn't want it to become too kind of bright and summery. That's not the inspiration. So adding a bit of brown at the end just gives a bit of darkness, a bit of moodiness and a bit of depth to it. And this is a lovely brown jacquard. So there we go, that's our 4 dye colours for today. First of all, I've got my saucepans that we dye in. These are stainless steel. I like the ones that have 2 handles because they're nice and easy to move around when they've got heavy water in. I'm going to use two pans this time because we're dyeing 2 different colourways each time. All of your equipment that you use for dyeing, you must only ever use it for dyeing because the dye powders are toxic. We then need our citric acid. So citric acid is our mordant. The mordant is the sort of chemical, if you like, that makes the dye permanently stick to the yarn. Citric acid is easy to get. It's a food safe product. It's basically the stuff that goes into fizzy sweets if you ever eat fizzy sweets. So we've then got some gloves. I've got some thicker rubber gloves which are more heat proof, and then I've just got these thin sort of surgical gloves. I've got a mask, of course. You must always use a mask when you are dyeing your yarns. I've got my big mixing spoon and a jug. This is just one of these cheap plastic jugs that you can get anywhere. I've got some old tea towels, and then underneath here I've got a piece of oilcloth, just a spare bit that I had from making those sort of wipe clean tablecloths, and this will keep your work surfaces lovely and clean and dye free. And then finally, in my little pot here, I've got some brushes and then my measuring spoon. So this is a 1/8 of a teaspoon measuring spoon. I think they're classed as like scientific measuring spoons, these ones, but this is stainless steel. Don't think I've ever had any other teaspoon, you know, and you just wash all these things thoroughly afterwards, ready for the next time. And then finally, we're going to be looking at our yarns. So each time we dye in this series, I'm going to be dyeing the same yarns. So in my bowl here, I've already got soaking in just some water, warm water from the tap, and a scoop of my citric acid, which is about a tablespoon. All I've ever done is bunged in like a scoop. These things usually come with a scoop, and I'm guessing it's about a tablespoon. Does it say on the back? No, it doesn't. But you know, I just put in a scoop when I'm soaking my yarns, and then you'll see each time I dye a batch of yarn, I put in another scoop. So in my bowl soaking, we've got fingering weight yarn, because this is for a lovely perfect pair of socks. So we've got a fingering weight yarn. Here I've got 100 grams, just one single 100 gram skein. And then here I've got 2 20-gram mini skeins. So this is an 85-15 base, and it's a 4-plied yarn. So it's nice and round and plump, it's soft and bouncy. This is the base that I've been dyeing on for quite some time now. You can get lots of other fingering weight bases. You know, the standard one is that sort of 75-25, and that's very nice. I use that a lot to knit socks, but when I'm dyeing it myself, I just prefer this base. It's a bit more kind of luxurious. It's just squishy and lovely. So 85-15 base, there's 400 meters per 100 grams, and then we've got the 2 20-gram minis. So that's going to be what we're going to be dyeing on each time. Okay, so in my pot here heating up, it's about 1/3 full of water with a tablespoon, just a scoop basically of citric acid, and that's heating up really nicely. So I'm going to pop my skein into the water. So just give it a squidge. and a shake just to sort of release the strands, and then in it goes. So as it goes in, I'm just going to move it around to basically mess it all up so that we've got some, it might be like the back of the yarn if you like, and some's the front. We just basically want to get as much of that yarn on the surface of the water, and then if you want, pull a bit up from underneath like that, just so that we're going to get coverage on lots of different areas. Right, so the first colour that's going to go in is the dusk. This is one of my favourite colours from landscape actually. It's gorgeous. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a full 1/8 of a teaspoon. I'm going to sprinkle it over the surface, and then I'm going to push it down straight away. So just start anywhere you like, close to the yarn, and just tap it around like this, just going on a little meandering path. Now before I tap it down, I'm going to get another one. So we've done 2 teaspoons and go back over it. Because although, I mean, when you use it like this, it does show as quite a dark colour, but you will get some soft colours as well. So straight away now, I shouldn't have been waffling, just give it a little tap like this. And what that's going to do is it's going to give us lots of softer purples, but also we're going to get some deeper areas where we put it straight on. Do you know what? I'm just going to put a tad more here. Can you see this area here? It's not got as much as the rest. I have a habit of when I first start off, there's more, and then I kind of ease off as I go around. So I'm just going to put a little bit more over here. There we go, that's better. So that's the first colour on. Such a pretty shade of purple. And now immediately we're going to go for the next colour, because this is a very layered, variegated colourway. The next one is the sorbet. Now I love this purple. It's a much more kind of violety purple, I suppose, but it's in the same ballpark as this dusky purple, but it's just more vibrant, I would say. So with this, I'm just going to go with an 1/8 of a teaspoon, and I'm going to put it over the area that we were before, but it's okay if I kind of meander off that path a little bit. So we might start off it a little bit like that. And meander around, and you can probably see much brighter purple. So again, just tap it down like this. You can see over here the difference in this area that's just had the sorbet, and this is the dusk over here. This one is a much more kind of Halloweeny autumnal purple. This one is more of a kind of ice creamy purple, if you can get purple ice cream. I suppose it's called sorbet. There we go. So that's the first layer on. Now I'm going to make sure that's up to a nice temperature, so I'm just raising the temperature. I just want it to start simmering so I know that we've got a good temperature going. And then I'm just going to leave that be, only for a few minutes. It doesn't need very long, because it doesn't really matter with this one if there's a bit of residual dye in the pot. So I'm just going to raise the temperature and then just give it 2 or 3 minutes, and then we're going to move the skein around, and I'm going to repeat that process. Right, so that's just had a few minutes setting time, so we're going to move the yarn around now and then just repeat that process. So if I just lift it up first of all, oh, look at that. Isn't it pretty? So what we get here is that darker dusk, and then can you see the brighter sorbet? I almost called it violet then, because it sort of is, but this sort of brighter sorbet. So we've got the 2 different purples going on there. It's lovely. So now, because we've got lots of white area here, and we want to make sure this is nice and even. So I'm just going to move it around a bit and turn it. and then it goes back in. And the same thing, as we pop it in, you can see actually we've got lots of white area exposed there, which is good. And it doesn't matter if the areas that have already got purple get some more, that's absolutely fine. But what we want to avoid is too many just plain white areas. That looks good. So now I'm just going to repeat what I did before. So start off with the dusk, and around we go. That's one. Maybe I'll start over on this side this time. And push. And the reason I push it down like this is I want it to be a bit more blurred. If I want something to be very kind of intense but then speckly as well, I won't touch it. But in this instance, we want it to blur and move out into the rest of the skein. So that's the dusk. So now we'll move to the sorbet, and hopefully I've got enough left. So we just want 1/8 of that. Same thing. Back over the area that we did, but we don't mind if we move off a bit. Push that down. So now we're just going to let that set for a few minutes. If it's gone off the simmer, just turn it up a little bit, and I'll give it about 5 minutes just to let that second layer set onto the yarn. Right, that's had a few minutes setting, so now we're going to go on to the second layer of colour. Well, third layer, but it's the second set of colours, if you like, because we're done with the purples now. So once again, just lift it up. So now we've got a much better coverage, haven't we? There's an area here that doesn't have much on, but that's okay. But generally, we've got some down here going all the way through, lots up there. So once again, I just like to sort of shuffle it around a little bit and then drop it back down. And by doing this as well, that'll just absorb any last bits of dye that are in the water. Right, so now we're going to move on to Wild Raspberry. Now this is a really intense colour, so we're going to go steady with it. But as you can see, it's a pink, but it does lean purple. And I think it goes really well with the purples that we've already put in there, but it just adds in a different element, a different sort of depth of colour. And you can see I've had this forever and I've barely used any of it because it's such a strong colour. So we're just going to use about 1/2. But the same thing, we're going to tap. And move it around on top of the purple as well, just basically all the way around. And then again, give it a little push. It might look a bit shocking, this colour, when you sort of give it a little push. But that's kind of what we want. We want to lift the colour a little bit from those purples and just add in like this pop. That looks good. This colourway, the inspiration for it, is those kind of autumny, slightly Halloween-y vibe. But admittedly, pink might not be included in that. So what I wanted to do is tone it down a little bit and give it a bit of dark depth by adding a little bit of brown on top of that pinky purpley that we've just put in the raspberry colour. So just a little bit, it might be like 1/4 of a teaspoon. Over the same areas again, but because we've not got very much, I'm going to go kind of lightly, just so that I get a bit on all of those areas. Back over there a little bit. And then once again, give it a push, and you'll see it's a dark colour when you use it like this. Push just sort of lightly, because we don't want it to take over. What we want is just some little dark spots of colour. And you can see now this area here has got a lovely dark area. There's a bit over here, and that's just what we want, just little areas. So once again, I'm just going to leave that for a couple of minutes to set. And then I'll move the skein around and we'll just repeat that as we did before. And as we do, can you see here? So here's this bright raspberry, but then on top we've got that brown. I think it just looks really lovely. All of these colours work really nicely together. So I'm just going to shuffle that around again, turn it over maybe, pop it back down for its last bit of colour. And isn't it looking lovely now? So we're just going to do the same thing again. I'm maybe going to go a little bit lighter with the raspberry because I don't want that to overpower. So just a little bit of raspberry this time. And I'm looking for areas really where I haven't been before with that. So let's give that a little tap. It's perfect. And then last colour is just a tiny bit of that brown again. So just a little bit and just tap that gently over those areas. You can always go back and put on a little bit more brown if you think it needs it. And I might do that actually, just in that area there. I think I'm going to add a teeny bit more. Just there. There we go. To give a bit of depth there as well. Right, so that's our colourway finished. So the final thing to do is just to blast the heat up. Make sure it's nice and simmering before I turn it off and pop it outside to cool down. So as soon as it starts to kind of bubble, I find that bringing it to a simmering point is enough to set it. I've never had any problems doing it that way. As long as you've got your mordant amounts right, then you should be good. Yep, I can see movement on the top. It's simmering, so I'm going to turn that off. That can be popped outside to cool down. So there we go, that's our first and main colourway all dyed up and it's cooling down outside. So come back in part 2 when we're going to dye up the coordinating minis and then we're going to get to the knitting. So I'll see you back soon.
Is my type of colourway. Oh my goodness, what a superb technique.
Historically, I like using this one. I've used this technique quite a lot because it is quick and it gives you such a lovely effect. It's sort of partly speckled, partly variegated. You know, you get areas that are quite intense and then you get other areas that are more kind of blendy and yeah, it's really nice.
To me, it feels like the key is picking the right colours because if you pick the wrong colours... Yeah, I mean, you've got to use colours that all go together, I would say, because it does all end up sort of mingling and, yeah. And I think the key to it, the moment where it really comes to life, is that wild raspberry.
Yeah, that is such a colour, isn't it? It's a beautiful colour, but, you have to go steady with it. It's a bit like those really intense reds, you know, you've got to go steady, yeah.
Yeah. That's just the start, though, because in part 2, Kay's going to be picking one of the colours and dyeing a coordinating colourway. I wonder if you can guess what colour it might be.
I wonder if you can guess.
When you consider the theme of today's show. Oh, yes. And then also knitting the socks, of course.
Yeah.
Getting close to that toe. So don't miss part 2 coming later on in the show. Now, though, it's time for me to show you my pick of the projects.
Oh, you're bullying in first.
So look, what is my pick of the projects? Well, I'll show you.
These socks are lovely. That's the wrong side.
But yes, I know. I'm showing them the glory of my invention of the contrast heel.
Ah, yes. Dan's invented a new thing, everyone. You'll all want to go away and try it.
I'm not going to bang
contrast
that drum again.
heel.
I'm going to bang that drum again. I'd love to know the first person was to do a contrast heel, though.
I reckon it was Susan B. Anderson. I know.
Hopefully, yeah. But I have a feeling that people will have been doing them an awfully long time. So this sock, it is one of my favourites. In fact, it is my favourite. And I've realised why it's my favourite. And it's only through knitting it a second time that I was able to realise it's the flurry, isn't it?
The flurry socks.
Thank goodness. I thought I was going to offend you by turning the pattern over to check the name. So I was
You wouldn't have offended me. I
good.
forget the names of my own patterns regularly.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That's
fine.
Yeah. Well, okay. So yes, it's the flurry socks. Second time I've knitted them, and why is it my favourite? Well, it's because I like engaging projects, and I don't like textured projects because I find textured projects boring.
All over texture.
Yes,
You mean?
yes. So a textured project, from start to finish, I'm bored, and I suppose that might be why the Albion doesn't completely push my buttons, because it sort of is a texture. This combines the two, so you get the challenge at the front of knitting, a relatively complex bit of lace.
It is lace.
Excellent.
It's lace, definitely. It's sort of got a faux cabley thing going on, hasn't it? But it's lace, yeah.
So you get that challenge in the middle, but then you get the sort of fun and joy of then knitting the texture. And doing this has made me realise why people enjoy knitting textured socks, because you've got quite a few textured sock designs, haven't you?
Yeah, I love them.
And I get it. I do get it, but I still couldn't knit it.
Right.
It's only through having both. It's like, having the perfect sort of sandwich with a couple of different ingredients. It's just the business. So this for me is above. I mean, I do love the Sherwood socks and I do love the Whispers in the Walls, but this for me feels one step above that. And the reason is because there's no plain areas of knitting, because I'm always doing something that makes me love it. But what are the other reasons? Why is this one of my only pick of the project? Because of the contrast. I've done contrast once before. What am I doing? I mean, I've been knitting 10 years and I've never, in fact, probably slightly more than 10 years.
I'd say it's more than 10 years.
Yeah, been knitting more than 10 years and I've only done a contrast heel once before.
Really?
Yes. I feel shame about this.
I don't know what. Well,
I wasn't choosing not to, Kay. I was never choosing not to.
I wonder why you didn't do it.
Because I'm completely bonkers. I mean, so to now come into the contrast game 10 years in, and to be also adding the...
You were so excited to do those
the two
rows at the top.
It literally, now I'm afraid, folks, you better like the look of this, because every pair of socks I'm knitting is going to be like this.
It's going to be like this.
It's going to have a bit of this, and a bit of this, and a bit of this. It's the business. So it's my pick of the projects because it's just ticking all the boxes for me.
And these colours are lovely. I dyed... This greeny colour was one of the minis, wasn't it, for my perfect socks, and I dyed the blue.
Yeah. I think I've done an all right job on the front of that sock.
You have done an all right job. It's very good.
For once, my heart doesn't start beating faster and I get panicky when you start looking at my sock.
No, I mean, it looks good to me.
I've got to keep this ball rolling, baby. That's the way. So, yes.
It looks excellent.
Last night, I actually... Do you know what? Last night, I did knit on the jumper at bedtime.
Did you?
And the reason why I knit on the jumper at bedtime was I knew I was getting close to the heel flap. And I thought, heel turn. Yeah, don't do that. So, yes, it's my flurry socks. Really, thoroughly enjoying these.
They're
and I'm
lovely.
thrilled to say it.
The reason why I did this sort of dot stitch on the back, right? When I was little, my mum used to knit the same pattern for like any children that were born, any of her grandchildren that were born. And I actually became a niece when I was about 8, because my oldest sister is quite a lot older than me. So I was a niece really young. And I remember my mum knitting this pattern. It was a black and white knitting pattern. I think I've got it now. And it was this it was a jumper and a cardigan together, and it had this all over white dot pattern. Well, she always knit them in white, she always did white for babies. And it had this all over dot pattern, and I think there might have been a bit of a cable thing going on as well. But I always remembered that, and when I was designing these and thinking of snow in the, in the forest, I just thought of that and thought, yes, I want to put that all over dot pattern.
Gorgeous.
As the snow. Yeah.
So that is my flurry socks. And before we have a look at Kay's gorgeous pick of the projects, we must just say what a summer this has been. Summer of Stitching 2025. Kay's already mentioned, started with the 100-acre blanket.
Yeah.
Then moved on to the 100-acre bag.
Tote bag.
And then, cuteness alert, yes, it set off the sirens. It's so cute. Would you believe it? It's time to make the bag tag.
Yes.
And the bag tag series, it's already started. Started at the beginning of August. We've just put out the 3rd part in the series. So whilst we steady the buffs and get the old siren off, the cuteness siren off, you go and have a little look at the series.
Everybody, and welcome back to the Summer of Stitching and our little riverside woodland area that we've got going on today. It's so lovely here. I wish I'd brought a picnic. But today what we're going to be doing with our bag tag, very exciting, is we're going to start using some embroidery stitches. What we're going to do is we are going to how would I describe this? We're going to work around each of the pieces with different stitches. So I'm going to just pull off a strand, a nice long piece. If you run out of thread, like when I was doing the running stitch, I ran out, you just weave on the back like you were doing and just start a new piece. Now the way that this one works, this is my made up one. Trim. I love how the back looks. I think it's so fun. You can see your whole process on the back. So there we go. Now you can see I have got a couple of strands there that have just come loose. I'll take those off, that's fine. Okay, so we're now going to move on to this little piece of fabric and we are going to use chain stitch around this. So first of all, I've got to decide on the colour and I'm thinking green is going to be the right colour. And then to finish off, I'm just going to go the other side of the loop that we've just created and that anchors it down. So just go the other side, the other side of the loop. Here we go then. So that's all of our pieces now on there and embellished and all ready for the final part.
So yes, that's part 3. Isn't it cute? Part 4 to come, not next week, the week after, because part 3 was a bit of a whopper.
It was a bit of a whopper. Yeah, it's a tiny thing, but there's a lot of work involved. Fun, it's enormous fun.
Super fun. And as we do on all our videos, we put the chapter markers on so you can jump around to whatever bit that you need to get to whenever you need to get to it. So that was part 3. Part 4 coming the week after next. And what a wonderful summer it's been. Gorgeous. It's been fantastic. Gorgeous bag tag. It's so fun.
I mean, it's been such a fantastic summer of stitching, and I now associate summer of stitching. It's summer for me, you know, the whole thing, and it actually helps us through summer, doesn't it?
It does, it does. But now we'd be lying, as you've probably gathered from this show so far, that we're now fully...
We're very much looking forward to the next season.
We're in the autumn zone.
We're nearly there, everyone. We've nearly done it for another year.
And what do you need in the autumn? What's Kate's pick of the projects?
Oh.
Why don't you tell us?
It's my crochet jelly roll.
Of course it is.
So the last time I showed you this, I think I was on the blue stripe. I've since done the purple, the red, and I'm now on the pink. Now, I would have been further along with this because I'd almost completed the pink stripe. However, I'd gone through this phase of over-analysing a certain element of it. And basically what had happened was, you know, when you do a swatch of something and it's a small swatch, things don't necessarily make themselves apparent when it's a small swatch. So when you come to do the big full-size thing, sometimes you might notice things that you wouldn't have with a small swatch. And this is really one of the biggest reasons for me why I always insist on knitting my own samples, because, you know, I could have just done a swatch of this and then effectively, you know, I've seen big blanket patterns where, you know, the photos on the pattern are just the start of the blanket and you basically just carry on and do the same thing. That's not something I would do. But anyway, what I'd noticed, and really it was so minor that, I mean, I showed it to Dan. I said, can you see this? And he's like, no, not really. It was so minor that I don't even know if it was a thing. But in my head it was. And I thought that it had a very slight, so the bottom of the blankets here, I thought it had a very slight tilt. And, you know, when I say it's really slight, but it was slight enough for me to think, do you know what, let me see if I can do something about that. So what I did was I went back to my swatch that I did originally. This is, you can see it's now like this. This was my original swatch, and I looked at doing the joins slightly differently, and I did something. I thought, this is brilliant, this works great. It looks very slightly differently on the seams, on the join seams, but I thought, you know, it solved the problem. So merrily on my way, I did the pink strip. I'll show you. Oh, you know, the pink strip is down here now, but I'd almost finished this pink strip, and I got almost to the top, and I looked at it and I said, do you know what? I actually preferred the look of the join that I was doing originally. I couldn't get it off my brain. So I then went back to my swatch again, and I changed something just at the very, very beginning where you join for the first time over here. I changed something, and then that allowed me to do the joins as I'd been doing it. And I think that has, I say straightened up, I don't even want to use those words because it was so minor that you might not have even noticed it. It was literally, I was joining it on the edge, so that was forcing it very slightly to go down. So I've changed that, and it now lines up straight. If you look at these two pieces, they're straight, and then the top is also straight. So all of that actually took me quite a few days, probably maybe best part of a week actually, all of that to-ing and fro-ing and waking up in the middle of the night thinking about it, and then going to Dan, is this better?
Though, right, with all the patterns that happens on, it always ends up being your best patterns.
Yeah, and
just thinking back through the years, you know, all the ones where you get real. I mean, to be fair, you're obsessive with all the patterns that you do, but it's the ones I think that you really get sort of sucked in by, which you have been by this, that you're like, the attention to detail is insane. But that's what people love and appreciate. Yeah.
So what I did yesterday was I joined this, I ripped it all out, I ripped that row out, and luckily I hadn't woven in the ends. And I said to Dan, well, you know, you're ripping something out, you're like, gosh, sometimes wish I could crochet or knit as fast as you can rip it out. So yeah, I ripped it all out, balled it all back up, and I've now recrocheted the first pink bit here. So I did that yesterday afternoon, and then what I did was I went back to the top because I wanted to make sure, because I adjusted the very top portion as well here, how you finish off, I changed that. So I basically went back here and pulled out a row all the way along, went back and sorted that out. Although it still looks like there might be a slight step, that's because I haven't yet completed that strip with the slight modification at the bottom. So once I get to the top here, everything's going to be lovely and straight. So, you know, this blanket, although this is going to be the blanket in the pattern that you see on the photos, it's been a process. And, you know, none of these things will be apparent when you look at the blanket. You know, it will all just look as it should, because they're all really minor points. And, you know, by the time that I've put the little, it's not really a border, it's just like a little, I suppose it's a border, just a little edge, just a little tiny edge around it, and we've given it a light block, everything is just going to look perfect. But I know, because I've still got pretty much, I'm over halfway, but I've still got half of the blanket to go with doing it in this slightly modified way, so that will give me the time to make sure that everything is correct going forward. And I just love how it's looking. You know, now I've got to the second repeat of the colours. Oh, it's just so fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's just such a joyous thing. I actually was crocheting this on my knee, the whole thing, yesterday. I was sat down here on the floor with the doors open. I had this massive blanket on my knee and I'm crocheting away and I was boiling. But do you know what? I was achieving something. I was solving a slight issue, and that gives me the motivation. So I don't mind knitting blankets in the summer, you know. I'm fine. It's absolutely fine. But a lot of overthinking went on, and I got to a stage where I just said, I'm just going to put it down for a few hours because I am just overthinking.
It's such a difficult thing, though. It really is, because in one sense, it can be a hindrance. But in another sense, if you didn't overthink things, it wouldn't make you a good designer. Because surely a good designer, you look at every stage of what you're doing and you make sure that the way that you're putting in your pattern is the perfect way.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're just throwing anything in, aren't you? Oh, well, that'll be fine.
Yeah, and I'm going by knowledge of, you know, in terms of this blanket, I've obviously created the knitted jelly roll, which is behind me, actually. So here's the knitted jelly roll, which has been an incredibly popular pattern and remains an incredibly popular pattern. I love this blanket, but I know that a lot of people have made modifications to it. That's absolutely fine. I don't have an issue with anybody doing whatever they want. You know, it's entirely up to them. But with that knowledge, I had that knowledge in my head, and I thought, well, going forward with this, I really want to cover all the possibilities of the way that it could be changed. Do you see what I'm saying? And not that I'm not expecting people to make modifications. That still could happen. You know, you can't be in the minds of absolutely everybody, can you? But I just really wanted to be as thorough as I possibly could, so that in my mind, it was the best that I could make it. And the
thing is, though, you did that on the original jelly roll.
I did that on the original jelly roll, and
that tells you it doesn't matter what you do. People are always going to change stuff.
Yeah, and like I say, I've not got any issues with that. But because this is my first crochet pattern, I really just wanted to make sure that I don't know. I mean, just what I've said, really. I just investigated every possible way of joining really on that edge, and it could still be that there's another way that I haven't looked into, but as far as I'm concerned,
Kate,
now,
in my experience with you and the way you put patterns together, it's unlikely.
Well, I think, you know, I really have gone into such detail.
Do you know what? I think that's why.
Let me fold this over and I'll hold it closer so you can see exactly what the join looks like. It's so pretty, this join. I hope you can see how lovely it is. It's so pretty. And on the reverse side as well, it's smooth and flat and just lovely. So yeah, I am now really just piling through this as quick as I can, and that's probably not as quick as I would like, but it is what it is. You know, I'm one person and you can only get so much done. That's the reverse side.
Well, I think the important thing to remember is that this is our job, but our job entails a lot of different things.
It does entail a lot of different things.
To keep the lights on, we have to do lots of different
that's
things.
right. You know, and we both have to divide our time between lots of different tasks every single day. And as much as I would love to say, right, I'm just going to take a week and I'm just going to work on this, I just can't do that because there's so many other demands and things that I've got to do.
That's easily twice the size it was, though, than last time.
No, it's not twice the size.
It looks so much bigger.
I was on the blue stripe last time, so I've completed the blue stripe, I've done the purple, I've done the red, I had done the pink, ripped it back, restarted the pink. And I was showing this to our friend because she loves to crochet, and I was showing her how to do it. And it was interesting because she said to me, I can't follow a crochet pattern, I just watch it on a video, and then I follow what to do. And she's made all sorts of things crochet wise. That was a really interesting thing to show her. So I showed her exactly what you do, and she's like, oh, brilliant, I could do that. So that was a great bit of knowledge. You know, she's not a long-term crocheter. She comes from a knitting background. So that was really interesting. And there will, of course, be full videos in this, full tutorials for the whole thing. It was brilliant having this little swatch, because I could just drop the big blanket, pick this up, and just try it. So this is why having these swatches, I think, is so important.
So that's Kate's pick of the projects.
Yes.
That means it's time to have a look at two very exciting things. Because whilst that is a pattern that's on the way, there's two patterns which are very close to release.
Yes.
So without further ado, I shall say, Kate Jones, what's off your needles?
Okay, we've got two things. Which shall I do first? I'll do these first because they're right here. So the first thing I finished is a pair of my Beetlejuice mitts. It totally matches my
It totally
t-shirt.
Does. It totally does.
That
looks like
I know.
something that someone cool would like go around wearing.
Yeah, not cool.
It even matches the necklace a bit. I love it.
So here we go. We've finished this pair of Beetlejuice mitts.
They're Spookykooky.
No, don't. We can't have crossovers of genres.
Don't cross the streams.
Oh gosh, yeah. Great film. So yeah, I finished these ones, and the Beetlejuice mitts are now in testing. So the pattern's written, all done and dusted, videos filmed.
Plural?
And there's two.
Amazing.
There's two tutorials in this mitt pattern. There's one for removing the thumb stitches and casting on over the gap. And then there's another for putting those stitches back on the needle, closing that little gap, and then continuing on with the thumb.
Brilliant.
So those are currently in test knitting, and I anticipate, or I plan on releasing these, I would say it'll be at the latest mid-September.
Right. Not long.
Not long at all, yeah, because I want it to be in time for people to have these on the needles, at the start of October, because that's the sort of spooky season, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, Beetlejuice mitts, all done, in testing, and I'll give you an update next time. I mean, the pattern might be through testing next time, but I'm just going to hold on to it till it's at that right point, I think, to release it.
Brilliant.
So the second thing I've finished is my folded hat.
Oh.
So this is another pattern, and we took photos for this actually in Fountains Abbey.
We didn't.
We did.
Oh.
So it was another really warm day.
After I'd been bitten.
After this, this was, but I didn't know at the time, I hadn't seen it. So yeah, we took photos, or Dan took photos of me wearing this. And these are the photos for the pattern, and it just worked perfectly. Gosh, that's such a brilliant location for pattern photography. I think you could spend your entire life using Fountains Abbey to photograph patterns, and you couldn't, you wouldn't have to use the same spot twice. But yeah, the folded hat pattern is also now in testing, and actually two of my test knitters knit the hat within like a day, I think. And, we're done. One of my test knitters who did the size small has now cast on a size medium. She's just doing this because she wants to. And because this is fingering weight held double, she's trying another one with fingering weight and Suri alpaca held together.
Ooh, that'd be nice.
So I'm excited to see how that one comes out.
Are there any videos in this one?
Yes.
Right.
There's a video for how to attach the folded brim.
Brilliant.
So I'll turn it inside out, and then you can see what it looks like.
Because you could wear it that way.
To be fair, you could wear it this way. So this is the inside. It's just so smooth. There's no bump at all there. So the video is in the pattern as to how to create this folded brim. You could absolutely wear it this way around. It looks really cool, doesn't it? So again, that's in test knitting, and this pattern I would anticipate that I'll be telling you is being released on the next show.
Brilliant.
On the next video show, because I'm sure that this will be through testing by then. What I did with this pattern, right?
So end of August.
End of August it'll be the next show, yeah. But
so end of August release for the folded hat. Brilliant.
When I last spoke to you about this, I told you there was two sizes. There was a small stroke medium, and then there was a large. No, there was a small, and then there was a medium stroke large. I've modified that because I judge things, I guess, by our family, if you like, and I think we're a decent cross-section of sizes. And I realised that actually it could do with a size a little bit bigger. So what there is now in the pattern is there's a small, which is sort of a older child, small adult, I would say. There's a medium, which is this one, which is adult medium. It fits, my head's 22 inches. This fits perfectly with a little bit of room. And then there's an adult large, which is for like a 24-inch head and a little bit above. Although that is, I mean, I know from experience that that's not a super large head size, and it's certainly common within our family. So that's what I've done. The size large, I am currently knitting. I haven't asked for the size large to be tested because I'm knitting that at the moment. So that one I'll show you on the next show, and then the pattern at that stage as well will be released. So super fast pattern, fingering weight held double, brilliant use for a single skein of yarn. This is how much I had left of the yarn for the size medium. I used pixie yarn, and the colourway was Rock of Ages, and I had this much left of the two halves. I think I used about 65 grams for this, so I'm sure that for the size large, you know, there's an extra 35 grams there you've got to play with. I'm sure that'll be plenty, but that's why I'm just knitting a size large, just to make sure that the yarn is okay.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So hopefully next time you'll all be able to start hat knitting for the autumn, everyone.
Now it's time to start sock knitting though, as we head back for the second part of My Perfect Socks.
Welcome back everybody to My Perfect Socks. So our main colour is now all done. It's time now to dye up the coordinating colour. So we're going to get to that, we're going to get it dyed up, and then excitedly it'll be time to sit down, we're going to have a chat about the socks, and then we're going to get to the knitting. Right, it's time now to dye our minis. Now, can you guess which colour I'm going to go for? There was only one option with this. If you know me and you know the colours that I love, I've got to go for the raspberry, haven't I? We've got to have some raspberry pink minis. I think that's a definite. So here we go then. We have got just under half a pot of water, I'd say there, with another scoop of citric acid. That's heating up nicely, and we're going to put some dye into that. Now we know this is a strong colour, but going by the minis that we've already dyed, I do want it to be quite a nice strong colour. So initially I'm going to put in about a flat 1/8 of a teaspoon, so not a full teaspoon. Flat 1/8, in we go. Oh my goodness, look at that. Ooh, it's like a spell, isn't it? I love watching the dye just going like that. Isn't that the most fabulous colour? We're going to mess that all up by going in with your big spoon and giving it a good old stir. So we want to dissolve all of that dye, and we'll get those minis in. Now when I put the minis in, I'm going to get them in there quite rapidly because this is a strong colour. Although I don't mind having tones, I want to try and get, you know, not too much of a half and half situation going on. I do want it to be a nice, fairly even tonal, let's say. Right, so let's grab our 2 minis. Get these in. I've got my big spoon ready. So I'm going to get it in quite rapidly. Oh, wow. And now I'm going to move it quite quickly. Ooh, look at that. So now what I do is just hold the yarn under the water and just keep it moving. And this will give a nice, fairly even distribution of colour. It should suck up that colour quite quickly. If you want, you can move it around again. Oh, look at that. That's quite a good colour actually. I don't know if we're going to need any more dye in there. So back in and just keep moving it. But I like doing this with these single dyes because I don't know if you can see it, but now we've used up quite a lot of the dye. It's got a kind of bluish hue, and that's telling me that there must be quite a lot of blue in this particular shade. I just find it an interesting process. But I guess if you think about raspberries, you know, when they're very ripe, I think the juice does lean slightly that way, doesn't it? And you can see all of that dye is pretty much gone. Let's have a look at the colour. I think that's pretty good, actually. I'm just deciding if it needs to be any darker. So I think that's actually a lovely colour. I think we got that spot on, that amount of dye. It looks perfect to me. Isn't it beautiful? So back into the water and then let it just, once again, let it simmer. And I'll just let that simmer probably for about 5 minutes. And then I can pop it outside to cool down with our main colour. So that's our yarn all dry and ready to be knitted. So it's time now to get it skeined up and get that yarn on our needles. Look at our lovely yarn. It's all dry and looking beautiful and ready to be wound. Oh, it looks just lovely, and we can see all of those shades in there. Look at the minis. We'll look at those in a bit more detail as we've been doing. Once we sit down to knit, I'll show you it with all of the others. But isn't it gorgeous, that pink? Oh, lovely. But the main skein, I can really see all of those colours. We've got the dusky purple, we've got the brighter sorbet around the edges of it, we've got the wild raspberry here, and then the brown as well. We can see here's a lovely patch of brown. So it looks just lovely. Oh, so we need to wind this, don't we, so I can get to the knitting. I think Dan's got his eye on this for knitting a pair of socks with it as well, because he really liked it. Look, doesn't it look lovely? And we've got it on both sides. So that's excellent. So we need to get to the winding. So let's pop it onto our Swift. Right, so I think I've just got 2 ties on this because I tidied it up after I'd got it dry. Yes, I think there's just 2. So there's this one, and then the other one is holding the skein together. So you want to look for the strand that's coming from the outside of the skein rather than the inside. It'll just, then there it is, look, it just peels away really easily. The other one is on the inside and it just won't pull as easily. Let's get winding. Still haven't got a new ball winder. This one's been behaving not too badly, So I'm just going to go quite steadily. I've discovered that slow and steady wins the game with this particular ball winder. I have much more success if I don't kind of go really fast. It's tempting, isn't it, to go super fast because you just want to get this bit done, but then it can take you 5 times as long to sort out a tangle. So we'll just go slow and keep our fingers crossed. like that went quite well. Let's see, shall we? Oh, that's marvellous, that skein. Oh, doesn't it look beautiful? Look at that. Absolutely lovely. Oh, and look at it with the mini, you know, when it's wound. Oh, that'd make such a lovely pair of socks, wouldn't it, with cuffs, heels and toes. That's not what I'm going to do with these minis though. I do have a plan for them when I've got them all. But beautiful. Oh, and I can't wait. So, oh, exciting. We get to do the best part for me, if you like, and that's the knitting. So we'll get cleared away, we'll get set up, and we'll have a look at our socks. Okay, so let's have a little look at our minis before we start knitting our socks, shall we? These are the previous 9, and I've just put them in some kind of a rainbow order, I think. So let's bring in our new one, which is this gorgeous colour, and just think about where to place it. Now, I don't know, that doesn't quite look right, does it? I was thinking it would follow on from the red, but I think because it leans, yeah, I'm not sure about it there either. What do you think? I think it's a bit too bright of a colour right there. I mean, maybe it would have to go there. I mean, it may be that when I use these, I don't use these in rainbow order anyway. I might choose to do something else. But maybe that's the best place for it at the moment. And I really love how this is looking. So we'll see if I want to keep it in that order or if we sort of move things around a little bit. But a gorgeous, gorgeous colour, the wild raspberry. I think it's so nice to see a lot of these colours in their just their pure form. I think it's a really useful thing to do. Right, so let's move our minis to one side and then we can bring in our socks. Right. So here we go with our socks, and here's our beautiful purple that we've just dyed up. Ooh, so lovely. So this is where we're at now. Let me just get one of them. Let me move this so that it's orientated differently, and then you can see exactly where we are in the sock. There we go. So we started at the cuff. We've just got a short leg because I prefer a short leg. And then standard heel flap and turn, gusset decreases, and we're now well on with our foot. So we've got, after this colour, we've got 2 more. So we've just got 2 more sections on the foot, and then the final colour will be for the toe. So it's time now to start knitting it into our sock, which is always very, very exciting for me. And I am doing, just as a recap, I'm doing 9 rounds of each colour. And I started with 12 rounds of 2x2 for the cuff, and then 9 rounds of each of the colour, and that gets me to the right foot length. You might have done a bit of maths and just amended the thickness of your stripes a bit. You might want a longer leg, so you've just had to juggle with the maths a little bit there. But it's 9 rounds of each colour for me. And this colour here, this one is Shop Around the Corner, and on the last show you will have seen me knitting a pair of my Jemima socks with this colour. A lot of them have gone into sort of scrappy projects, but then a couple of these we have used to knit full pairs of socks, so that's been really lovely. So we now of course need to get knitting with our purple. So let's just pull off some yarn. Let's move the other sock out of the way. And all I do is we've cut the yarn of the last colour there and left a tail. So I just pop my needle in that first stitch, grab my yarn again, leaving a tail, loop it over and start knitting. And when I just identify the working yarn, I grab the tail and just keep hold of that, and that keeps that first stitch nice and tight for you. It's not going to get too loose. It will loosen off because, you know, there's no stitch before it, but I find that it just keeps it a bit more well behaved. So we just start knitting, and it's lovely as always to be back working on these. I don't normally have socks on the go for this length of time. You know, these have been going on since the beginning of the year. But actually it's been really nice just to put them down and forget about them really until the next colour comes along. And that's been really nice. So to make a pair of socks over the course of a year, just choosing one pretty yarn every month and just having a little bit of a knit. And then at the end of the year, you've got a lovely pair of socks to treat yourself with. I think that's a nice thing to do. So yeah, I'm just going to knit away 9 rounds on this sock and then 9 rounds on the other one. There we go then. I am off and running and knitting my Just Call Me Jo colourway. Very exciting. I always love the knitting bit. I love all the dyeing and I love everything that we do on this show, but getting to the knitting for me is the most exciting part because I get to see what that colourway looks like knit up, and I just get to work with it a little tiny bit and then decide what I'm going to do with the rest of the skein. This will definitely be going into my crochet jelly roll in the purple section. So that's colour number 10 done and dusted, and we've just got 2 more left. So what are the last 2 going to be? I do have one that I've sort of saved, and I don't know, I don't think it'll be the next one. I think I'm going to save it for the toe because it's one of my favourite sort of scenes from the film and inspirations as well. So I might save that one for the toe. But yeah, just 2 more to go, and then we will have a completed pair of socks and worked our way through that entire movie, which is very exciting. So I really hope you enjoyed watching that and dyeing up your yarn if you are dyeing yarn with me, or if you're just going to go into your stash and choose something similar. I think it will be a good one today because really anything that's purple leaning will work. But if you do have something that's purple and pink sort of variegated, that will be perfect as well. That hint of brown in there. Where one thing I noticed when I was winding it and sort of looking at the skein is where the brown has hit purple areas, you get this really sort of deep, almost aubergine colour. And that's just really lovely. There's a teeny bit there. I don't know if you can see it. There's just a strand there. It's really lovely. So there we go then. Colour number 10 in the bag, and I'm going to get on now and get these sections knitted. Very, very exciting. So I really hope you all enjoyed that, and I will see you back next time for the penultimate of my perfect socks.
That is most definitely my favourite collection of colourways so far.
Oh, here it is.
Of course you did the pink.
Of course I did the pink.
And what I loved was, it was like in and out.
Yeah, it was.
Boom.
It was. Yeah, I was lucky I got the right amount
Straight
on
off.
the first go. Yeah, so here's the pink. I say pink actually, but when you put this next to a pink, it looks more purple. Oh yeah, look. Look. Pink top. Don't you think this looks purple now? So anyway, whatever the colour is, it's here. And there's the skein we dyed.
And do you have
So it's just perfect. I
the
do
skein knitted
have.
into the socks? Yes, you
Certainly
do. And here they are.
Certainly do.
Oh,
and
my
it's
goodness.
knitted up lovely.
It looks spectacular.
Oh, it's so nice.
It
I know
really
it's
is.
only a small section, but it does give me an idea on how it's going to look,
Yeah.
you know, in a full pair. And it's just lovely. And we're nearly done, look, we're nearly done. One more colour and the toe. And I'm going to have a lovely pair of socks.
And we've knitted
very
all the way
exciting.
through the year.
It's just been lovely.
My Perfect Socks returns
Yes.
on the 12th of September for its penultimate
Yes.
episode.
Penultimate.
And that's because next time we're heading back to the captivating Lindisfarne
Yeah.
for the next part of the story of Holy Island. And it's going to be wonderful because we're digging into, we've only seen a fraction of that monastery, except it's actually a priory because the monastery was the original one.
Right.
And when it was rebuilt is a priory, and we're going to learn all about the priory and have a good walk around and a good discover next time. Now it's time for the Endy Bits.
Endy Bits.
Now, have you heard the latest episode of the radio show?
Yes, I did.
It's actually been incredibly popular. Now, I say that with great shock.
Which one was it?
It was all about tea and coffee.
Ah, yes.
And I was really stunned, actually, the amount of patrons that had gone and hit it really fast.
Good.
I think it's one of those subjects which people get sort of turned on to quite quickly. So, all about tea and coffee. Second one we've done about tea and coffee, because the first one we did was like years ago, and quite a lot's changed since the last time we recorded a show about tea and coffee. But what our favourites are and what we like to drink, some of the things that we don't like about, the way that things are made sometimes. So that was a really cool episode. And the radio show, that episode's available now, and we'll be back again with another one next week.
Yeah.
Every month I produce a garment knitting show. Did you know that, Kate?
Do you know what? I did.
It's called The Self-Contained Knitter, and the latest episode is available to watch right now. I dig right into that jumper that I showed you last time, for the first time ever, here on the video show. Would you like to see a little snippet? I hope so, because here it is. Welcome back, everyone. Twice in 1 month. Yes, it's more from me and the Self-Contained Knitter. It is the completed, the all finished, the spectacular Godie. I can't wait to wear this. The colours in this are completely spectacular. The red draws the eye, but the green makes the whole project sing. This sort of bobbly bit, if you'll recall, on the Sweetheart Cowl, there's a bobbly bit. I've not knitted this as well as I did on the Sweetheart Cowl. It's fine, but this hasn't been blocked yet. So that will sort of make everything look a bit smoother, and perhaps it will just look fine. So this is the album. Now, my concerns are still, there's something about the texture, there's something about the whole process of knitting it. And this is a bit more, it doesn't have as much character. Do you know what? I think I'm just a bit more, colourful's the wrong word, out there's the wrong word, but do you know what I mean? It's more fun. That's more fun than this. What have I cast on? That's the first thing I'm going to show you. So we picked 3 with a name that I just can't begin to tell you. But here's the jumper, and it's the same dude. And the reason why I didn't cast this one on now is this one looks like a traditional normal one that you would have seen me make before. So it sort of fits with, it's a spectacular normal one though, but I think this is the fingering weight one. And the problem with this is it's the amount of time it would take me. Look at that. Oh my goodness. That is completely amazing, isn't it? I'm so tempted by that. And it's the same guy again. Look at him. Oh, he's like a Viking. The top of the pile by an absolute country mile. I think this is going to be my favourite jumper of all time. Yes, that's a little taste of it's very cool, very hip.
Is it?
People seem to really like the music. I went very cool, and have I got something on my head?
No.
Okay, sorry. We've already mentioned the bag tag series. That is, of course, available to watch right now, but you can find all of our Summer of Stitching 2025, and in fact 2024 and 2023 at the link which I'll post in the show notes below. You've got some needles.
Yes, I just bought some new double points. I actually saw this needle brand on a video recently by Norman. Do you all know Norman? I love him. Is it Nimble Needles, I think? Oh, he's fabulous. He's so good at knitting. He's such an expert and seems such a lovely person. Fabulous to watch. Anyway, he was reviewing some needles. It was actually a set of interchangeables, but I went to look at the brand because I'd never heard of them. It's a Japanese brand called Seeknit. He specifically said it is pronounced Seeknit and not Seeknit because he'd had an email conversation with the company, and they explained that it's Seeknit. So yeah, it's Seeknit, and they're wooden, they're made of bamboo, so my ears just went, oh, what's this? Because I just love wooden needles. I always go on about that, don't I? So I had a little look and saw they did double pointed needles. I thought, right, okay, do you know what? I'm going to get some and try them. So I just Googled the actual needle brand to see where I could get them, because it wasn't one I'd heard of. And a shop came up in London. I thought it was actually going to be in Scotland from the name of it, but it's actually in London. It's called Macintosh. Here's the card that came with it. And it's knitmacintosh.com. I don't know if it's a bricks and mortar shop or if it's just an online shop. When I looked on the website, I couldn't see an address or anything. So
And that tells you.
I think it might just be an online shop, and it's sort of knitting, haberdashery. It's a really interesting collection that he's put together. The owner and the person who runs it is called James. The delivery was like second class. And whenever I see second class UK delivery, I always bump it up to first class. I pay a little bit extra because our postal delivery these days is not the best. So I always bump it up to first class. And he just missed that. So he sent me a quick email and apologised and said he changed it and it was going out first class. All lovely. So anyway, yeah, that's the shop I got them from. And these are the needles. I got 2 sets. I got a 3.25mm because that's what I knit my double knit socks on, and then a 2.5mm, and they look like this. Has anybody seen this brand before? So these are the double points, and then they do several different interchangeable sets. So I mean, go and watch Norman if you want to have a full review. He really loved them. Overall, he really loved them. All I did yesterday when I got these was I took the 3.25mm out of the packet just to have a look at them and a feel of them, and they feel lovely, I've got to say. It feels like really high quality bamboo. It's lovely and smooth. The points look good. So I'm going to do a review on these for our patrons. Once I've knit with them, I will do a review. But I just think I was just thrilled to find another Japanese brand of needles, because Japanese are so good at making things like this. They're so precise. I would love to go to Japan. I think it's such a fascinating country. But they're just so precise, aren't they? And yeah, I'll see how I go with these. I think what I might do when I knit the second of my Spookykooky Socks, I might use this set. I know you're not technically supposed to swap needles, are you, when you're knitting a pair of socks? But I'll check the size through a size gauge and just make sure that I think it won't make any difference in terms of size. And I think I'll give these a go. Brilliant. The second sock, but it looks really interesting.
Cool.
Yeah. So.
That's it, folks. Thank you so much for watching. We're going to go and get an ice brick and maybe put our feet on it for a bit. We hope you have a wonderful...
Look forward to tomorrow when it's only 25 tomorrow.
Yes, we shall definitely look forward to tomorrow. And we shall look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks with a brand new episode featuring, as we mentioned, the story of Holy Island.
Yes.
We'll see you then.
See you soon, everybody. Bye.
1, 2.
1.
Yeah, it's laughing at you with your hand.
So this crops up, as I said. Oh no, I can't start talking, can I? Really, about the inspiration. No, that's not really the inspiration. So yeah, for this year's.
I'm really sorry.
What was that?
That was my little panda.
Clicker. So that's all of our dye colours. So it's now time. So those are our dye colours. Oh, hello.
We've been watching pandas on
Pandas
Instagram.
are so funny, aren't they?
Playing with rubber ducks or falling over.
They're so funny. They fall over like all the time. Or at some point in my dyeing series, whatever.